Welcome to the continuation of the Virtual Lead Marketing Conference, which focuses on loyalty, engagement, analytics, and digital applications. I'm your host, John Karolewski. Thank you for joining us. We have 4 more presentations today on topics such as digital promotions, trade planning, and more. You can stay with us all day or just log in to those presentations that interest you. But first, we have some brief housekeeping items. Although attendees are in a listen-only mode, this conference is interactive. If you have questions, please type them in the chat box in the lower left of your screen. We'll answer them along the way as time allows, and if time allows, we'll answer some at the end as well. Now, between each presentation, there will be a CPG and retail trivia quiz for valuable prizes, including the grand prize of a Fitbit fitness tracker. Our next presentation is the death of paper coupons, and our presenter is Tom Murray, Executive Vice President of SavingStar. Without further ado, here is Tom Murray.
Hi, good afternoon all. It's a little bit of a dramatic title. I promise you what we will not do is spend 45 minutes talking about everything wrong with paper coupons, but we will talk about a number of the kind of marketplace dynamics that packaged goods are faced with and things they are dealing with and how they are addressing them going forward. And mostly what we'll spend time talking about is where packaged goods companies are investing their money and where they're putting their investments going forward relative to changing technology and changing consumer dynamics. So I think really what I would start with is I would say for the first time in literally, I would say, decades, packaged goods companies are making really the difficult steps going forward to change from what is a paper-dominated delivery industry in terms of offers and promotions to a fully and truly digital future going forward. The last decade, since just after 2000, the industry has embraced and built connectivity to a printable coupon approach. And this was kind of the first, I would say, logical half step towards addressing a digital future. But after about a decade, and I think this has been widely written about, it is clear that a in-home printed offer misses where the market is going in a number of areas. Clearly, it doesn't address the mobile consumer. If you're not addressing the mobile consumer, you're not addressing millennials by definition. The digital world today is largely a one-size-fits-all. Everybody gets the same offer. In fact, some of them are referred to literally as digital FSIs. To a large degree, the industry has essentially replicated the classic single transaction e-coupon offer that we've been familiar with for decades. And the technology allows for more. I think the marketplace expects more offer types, and we'll talk about that. And then I would tell you one of the most important criteria is the area of measurement. I think going forward, for meaningful money to be shifted into digital, it has to be highly measurable. While I was on hold waiting to get online with you all, somebody had sent me an email of a Forbes and Oracle Cloud Marketing study that surveyed 250 plus marketing executives worldwide, and the number one attribute they assigned to new technologies was analytics and measurability. So clearly, measurability and data and insights is critical going forward. So, what are some of the key trends that we see that digital marketers and marketers are dealing with going forward? The shift to load to card, to paperless, represented by an increase in redemption rates over the last couple of years is obvious. McKinsey is saying load to card / paperless offers is going to grow at a very, very healthy 50+% clip for the next several years. Velas is talking about millennials using more mobile and therefore paperless coupons. Coupons Inc. themselves, the leader in printable, talking about how millennials want a more personalized approach to marketing. And our own, at my company, SavingStar, our own personal experience that more than 2/3 of all the users being mobile in our environment. And one of the things that we've seen, one of our biggest clients had done a very in-depth study. It told us that 60% of millennials just do not use FSIs, and therefore they're not being served. And it's pretty clear when it comes to paper that millennials obviously are not engaged with the newspaper in general. So how have these changes affected distribution and redemption in general? Overall redemption was down 12% in the first half of 2015. One of the, if not the most notable metric, this was enormous and really kind of shocking actually, is that the rate of decline of printable in-home printable coupons was down 28% in the first half of that year, which is an enormous decline in one kind of reporting period. At the same time, paperless was up in a nice way. And again, I think it just reflects that natural shift to a more mobile mobile experience. And I think you're going to see more and more growth, and the growth over the last several years has come from, at least certainly one of the areas, is more and more retailers building that load-to-card capability. The most recent one, which was literally within the last few weeks, was Ahold Stop & Shop is launching a new load-to-card capability, so they will join the club of dozens of other retailers offering that offers on their site. So one of the obvious questions is why has this shift to digital for packaged goods companies? Why has it taken so long? And there are some good and legitimate reasons for that. I mean, the current platform coming from Inmar through those dozens of retailers, it is somewhat fragmented. It can be complicated getting an offer across many retailers simultaneously. There are multiple providers that do that. We'll talk about that, but it is not one connected, seamless platform across all those retailers. And at the same time, retailers bringing the capability of doing online couponing is a major undertaking for a retailer to build that capability. It is a significant commitment of IT time to build that POS integration, integrate with an outside provider, building the stacking controls where you're eliminating the double dipping with paper coupons. It's a major, major commitment on a retailer's part, and there are still some significant ones that haven't built it, but it has generated more and more retailers over the last several years. In total, if you aggregate all of the current retailers collectively, in total, they do not deliver enough volume as a standalone delivery platform to really replace what is a meaningful delivery of a national promotion today. So one of the things we'll spend a good amount of time talking about is how packaged goods companies are going to begin to play a role here to supplement the really great work that retailers have done and really supplement and build and extend on retailers' audiences as a means of driving national scale. So the CPG community, what are they asking for? What are they kind of really driving going forward? What we are seeing from talking to packaged goods companies, from participating in RFPs, some of the high-level things that we see consistently time and time again from our CPG partners are, one is that the deliverable, as we've kind of touched on, must be mobile first. They're clearly shifting to a paperless solution, still with the need for third-party validation. So Velasas and Inmar and those companies will still very much be part of the mix in terms of validating and clearing. CPGs want to reconnect and reestablish one-to-one relationships with consumers, and we'll spend some time on this in a few minutes. Clearly, brands want a more personalized experience. We know the more personalized the experience is, the more relevant it is to a consumer, so they want a more personalized offering to consumers. They want more offer types, just the tried and true and single offer structure of a buy one, get 50 cents, or buy two, get 50 cents. The technology can support more, and they want to press the industry to deliver more and varied offer types. And then, as I mentioned earlier, all of this needs to be measurable. The day of going back to a client and saying, this is how many prints you got and this is what your redemption rate was, that is just insufficient going forward. So it needs to be measurable. And, of course, everything that we just talked about, CPGs want to have at scale. in order to really attract national budgets. So the demand, the will is there on the part of the CPG companies to move in this direction, and they seem to really be embracing it going forward. So where has that shift begun, and where are packaged goods companies moving their budgets to? First and foremost, as I talked about earlier, the money is shifting to the retailer's environment. Companies like Kroger and Safeway's Just For You program do an excellent job, have superb content. They've done a great job in being a place where consumers can go to find values and offers for to shop in their stores. There are direct integrators, companies like UTEC and Quotient, Inmar, Catalina, who have direct integration with retailers that brands can go to and plug in offers into those retailer environments. There are indirect retailers, depending on where you're going, and companies such as Cellfire and Velasas, News America, SavingStar can go through some of those direct integrators, and that's why I was saying before there can be a bit of a circuitous route that an offer may need to get to actually get live on a retailer site, but there are multiple ways to get there, and lots of retailers accepting them. Coalition programs. You may be familiar, American Express launched the first coalition program in the United States. It is called Plenty. It has a core group of supporting retailers. You will see packaged goods companies leveraging their audience as a means of extending reach of packaged goods offers. So there's building on a retailer's environment and then tracking offers to environments where audiences are built by third parties, in this case, American Express. The other thing that we're beginning to see is packaged goods companies who are either about to or have built databases, and can we use, and will the packaged goods companies begin to complement that retailer environment with their own environment, so extend the retailer's audience by the audiences that they have built internally through, in some cases, a database and other means that we'll talk about in a minute. The other place money is beginning to shift, and it's interesting because there's a number of these that are in place, and there's several more in production, if you will, in terms of digital CRM and loyalty programs. So most of us are probably familiar with My Coke Rewards, Kellogg's Family Rewards, Huggies and Pampers, and other companies that have these. This is a place where brands can reestablish both loyalty to retailer cards, which we'll talk about in a moment, as well as loyalty to their brands, and reconnect with those one-to-one relationships. But you must have both national scale. In order to have national scale, the beginning of that, the first foundation, is retail scale. So you can't go drive lots and lots of members unless there is a store within the close proximity of each consumer, so they don't have to drive 50 miles to find a store to execute an offer in.
Tom, we have a question that just came in here that perhaps you can answer. How effective for CPGs is Target's cartwheel model for delivering offers and digital coupons?
I would say cartwheel, that is their deliverable. I know they have an RFP, not an RFP, but I believe they have selected a provider, and I believe you will see a load-to-card-like service within the Target environment that's similar to other providers. So I can't talk specifically to Target's cartwheel program. It's Target. I'm sure they're doing a great job with it, but I know they're kind of expanding it to be, I believe it's going to be more of a traditional load-to-card, load-to-ID experience, and I know they have hired a provider and selected a provider to do that. I don't know the exact launch date, but I know they're moving in that direction. I don't know if that may be in addition to the cartwheel offerings or in place of, but I know they have hired a provider, and they are going to be offering digital offers just the way you're familiar with other retailers as well. So what I would say under the heading of retail scale, so there are all those retailers that we talked about that, one, have a loyalty card or have a unique ID that a purchase can be tracked to, but it isn't everybody. So in order to get a fully national experience of 70-plus thousand stores, what you always want to do is plug into that retailer's loyalty card where the retailer has a card, where they choose to participate, where they make their audience and their card data available to track and validate and clear offers. But there are some retailers, and the most notable and obvious one, for example, would be Walmart, where they just don't have a card for the way that they market right now. And there are those retailers that are validated through a receipt scanning process. You always want to default to loyalty card where it's available and where the retailers will make it available. But it is the combination of those two. You don't want to be all receipt scanning because it's a little bit more work and it's a little bit more friction for the consumer. And you don't want to be all loyalty card because that will leave out some important retailers. It's the unique combination of both of those tactics and both of those approaches that allow for a truly national experience. And again, that is the thing that will allow national dollars to flow into this to really cover all classes of trade and all retailers. So as I mentioned earlier, there is not a single source of scale. The retailers' websites are significant. They're large. They do a great job, but they are a source of scale. They are not the only place that consumers will go to consume offers. There will be and are third-party providers such as ourselves and there are other receipt scanning companies out there that have built their own proprietary audiences. Obviously, Catalina Marketing that most of you are familiar with, News America, Velasas, Coupons Inc. All these companies are a source of scale and adding to what the retailer or a path to the retailer. And the one that I said earlier that I think is interesting and a newer development, and I say newer, I'd say within the last year, where CPGs are going to augment both the retailer, both these third-party providers, and build databases to expand that reach. And they'll do it with their email databases that many of them have in place and are building kind of as we speak. Obviously, retailers can amplify, or I should say CPGs can amplify offers through their owned media as well as paid media. And the tens of millions, in some cases hundreds of millions of dollars that they're spending in paid media can be used to amplify and build an audience. And I think that is what we are seeing. And I don't know that I would necessarily put a percentage, but it would be something like a third of the reach is through the retailer, a third of it would be something like through the third-party companies that I've mentioned here. And I think what we're going to see over the next couple of years is you're going to see the retailer generate about a third of that reach. And the great thing about that is that the combination of all three of those combined is what will really facilitate that larger kind of sea change and shift in money and spending to the fully digital approach. So an example of how this works is in our company, it is simply the consumer creates an account. They select their stores where they want to shop. They enter their loyalty cards one time as a registration process to open an account. They'll select stores that they want to do receipt scanning in if they want to do that as well. They simply activate their offers, shop where they want, and either through the receipt scanning process or the retailer relationships that we have, the data relationships, we will validate that purchase and add savings, add their discounts, if you will, to their account, and then they can take a payout in any way of direct deposit to the bank account, PayPal, iTunes, et cetera. So that is a common way that brands are getting savings, our consumers are getting savings as we speak. In terms of those offer types, again, there's been that single purchase transaction that has been in place for decades and has been where the digital world has kind of really begun with. Some of the offer types that CPGs are telling us that they want to see supported going forward are some of them would like to see a sampling type of an offer. So can there be a 100% off or a free offer of a product? There are, and we do support, a single transaction, dollar off one, dollar off two type of an offer. There is a unique offer type of a continuity type offer, so it can be 5% off for a month or 3 months or even a year for that matter, so it's kind of an always-on continuity type of an offer approach. And I would say the offer that is maybe most unique and kind of most in demand as an alternate kind of new offer type is that kind of multi-trip, multi-transaction offer referred to as one or many is the name of what we call it. And that is an offer of a buy $25 of a particular company's portfolio of products and get a $5 reward, and the consumer can hit that threshold over multiple shopping trips across multiple retailers if they choose to. Some of them can be loyalty cards, some of them can be receipt scanning retailers, the purchases are tracked along the way. They're reminded with an email of their progress toward that goal along the way. And what it does is it really locks in a consumer to a portfolio of products over a 8 or 10 or 12-week period of time. And I think this I would call is kind of the proxy for maybe a digital version of an online scale promotion, if you will, would be a way of thinking of that. And then at the very other kind of furthest end of the spectrum are some of these white label CRM programs, and the most obvious one, and I'll talk about it more, is the Kellogg's Family Reward programs, and we'll talk about how they are using digital going forward.
We have a question that come in, Tom. Does SavingStar have plans to take advantage of the new generation of the Internet of Things receipt printers to offer validation or data collection purposes? This could allow data capture without POS integration.
When you say receipt printers, I can't tell you I know what the technology of a receipt printer is. There is some technology, for example, at Walmart, and we're talking to them about this, where you can, rather than have to take a picture of the whole receipt, you can just take a picture of the barcode on the receipt, which links to a specific transaction at the retailer, and then they share that receipt back with us. So there is some technology around that. The high watermark, the place that you really, really want to be, is you want to be linked into the retailer's POS system. And what I think, and their loyalty card, and what I think you're really going to see as more and more of these companies and programs, CPGs, bring programs to retailers, there are a handful of them that are on the sidelines kind of evaluating things right now, and that's completely understandable. But I think as they see as more and more of the packaged goods monies flow towards that, what I think you're going to see is those retailers will actually come off the fence and make their card data available, and then we'll be good to go at that point. So it's only a handful, and there's not many. There's some big ones, but I'd say they're in evaluation mode right now. And as I say, with some of the programs that we know are coming to market later this year and in the back half of this year, I think you're going to see some of those holdout retailers come along. So I think the loyalty card connectivity is really the kind of the gold standard there.
Okay, one more question, Tom. What do you see for the future of a POS coupon delivery system like Catalina?
Listen, Catalina, it's targeted, obviously, highly targeted. They're not really affected by media trends because we all kind of shop. So I think there will always be a place for in-store printed coupons that are highly targeted and deliver great results, and consumers like it, retailers like it. I know CPGs support that and look for that kind of mass, huge scale targeted vehicle there. So they have the wonderful luxury of not being exposed necessarily to digital trends. So I suspect there will always be a healthy place in the market for a well-targeted, well-run network like Catalina Marketing. I think they'll be just fine for years to come.
Okay.
This is some economics here on kind of a single transaction offer versus a multi-transaction offer, and just some of the quick numbers behind it. If you just look at a typical offer with a couple 100,000 transactions, if you get 10 or 20% redemption, you're going to get 30 or 40,000 units moved, and if it's $3 or $4 a unit, it's something like $100,000+ in sales. If you convert those same 200,000 activations, but now it's a buy $25 or buy $30 offers, all those numbers get amplified dramatically. So in terms of scale, you drive scale through the number of people you get to activate an offer, the number of retailers they can activate it in, but another way of driving scale is the number of units that they have to buy in order to qualify for an offer. So scale it can also be driven by offer type, and that can be a contributor to making this have a bigger, more national experience. Another big trend that we're seeing is that brands want consumer engagement beyond just a redemption. And by that, they want consumers to do things such as, can they get a boost or a head start towards their purchase threshold if they watch a video. So now you're getting that brand equity involvement along with a promotion. Obviously, we talked about building databases earlier. They can also get a head start towards their threshold They don't actually get $1 or $2 as their boost, but they get a head start towards their threshold for agreeing to share their email. So there's consumer engagement elements to promotion that brands are asking for, and the marketplace is accommodating as well.
And one quick question came in. How quickly could an offer be implemented? Could it be used to boost an underperforming promotion, for example?
I was on the phone with somebody this morning that has that very problem, and when the assets are available, meaning the artwork and an OCR code and obviously contracts, offers can be activated, I should say, in a day or so. I'd like to be clear because I'm sure my operations folks are freaking out right now by saying that, but it can be executed in a matter of a day or so. I don't want to make that the norm, but the beauty of digital is we're not beholden to long press runs and shipping and all that kind of stuff. So it's a matter of days to get an offer up as opposed to weeks is the way you could be thinking about it.
Okay.
So one of the things we talked about earlier is to amplify an offer. Where are all the places that an offer can live in order to amplify the reach of that offer? So we run a large promotion last holiday for Procter & Gamble, and what was great is they really leveraged every way to amplify an offer, such as obviously it lived in the SavingStar environment. It was promoted in digital ads and digital media that they were running. It was promoted and lived in a microsite and emails that P&G sponsored. It even carried through into point of sale in store, where it talked about what the offer was, and to go to the website to get the promotion and download the app. It was promoted actually in Brand Saver 2 or 3 times during the course of the promotion. Obviously, they promoted it in social, and with all of that, it was really cool to see that retailers supported it as well. So. Again, as I said in several slides back, there is no one singular destination where all this consumer communication lives, and I think brands are getting really smart about how to leverage that and leverage other environments going forward. So one of the key things that we said, that the CPG space, I should say, in general is asking for is personalization. And the days of just putting out a mass offer where everybody gets the exact same offer is another thing that I think P&Gs are getting very sophisticated about. And here is just an example of a program design with a personalized offer in our environment where the consumer and consumers would be segmented, which I'll show you in a second. They would run 3 waves of this. They would, in between each wave, the consumers would be retargeted. They would be measured. They would be measured the first wave. Consumers would be resegmented. They would get the next wave of offers where, again, they would be remeasured, resegmented again, and then the third wave would run. So personalization is a key going forward. I'll show you kind of example of what that would look like. So the first wave could look like the default offer for new members coming in, where we might not have data on you, would be a buy 25, get 5 up here. Other offer types and other offer values would be a buy 20, get 4, and they could structure whatever the brand wanted to achieve their objectives and deliver different offer types and values to consumers. After that second wave, people would migrate to different cells in this area during wave 2, so we would move people to the correct cell based on how they performed in the first wave, and then again do that same thing in the third wave. So again, this is using what we know about you, what we see about your purchase behavior, resegmenting consumers and always optimizing them and setting thresholds so that we're always stretching people to get the optimized performance out of each promotion.
Another question that came in, Tom. Do you see retailers allowing personalized offers on their download to card programs in the future? Who would control the content, retailer or CPG?
That's a great question. I know there are some of them that are starting to move in this direction, and I think that would be interesting that would be an interesting kind of exchange between retailers and CPGs as to what targeting would look like and personalization would look like. To some degree, as you can imagine, if you had dozens of retailers and dozens of inputs, it could become almost unmanageable at some point. But I think, they'll get together as a network and they'll figure out how that will work. I know some of them are at the early stages of talking about personalization, and I believe that I can't imagine that the retailers won't move in that direction going forward.
Okay.
So one of the other key things that we talked about was measurement. And again, this is the area that will most likely attract, and we needed to attract dollars. And this is just some of the metrics for a program like you just saw that brands would get back, and it would be in the area of tracking trips. So the ways that you can grow a brand is you can get people to buy you more frequently, you can get them to spend more each time they buy you, and you can get more people to buy the brand. And in this case, we're seeing a significant increase in trips. People are spending more per trip. You're getting new buyers. And the fact that you have all this purchase history, it's allowing you to kind of report and get that information back to brands. The other, a very classic measurement of kind of a pre-post, in this case it's dollar spend during the pre-period, which in this case for this particular brand, during the average of the previous 444 days, during the offer period, they were spending an average of $14 and change. During the promotion, they spent almost $40. That's that kind of stretch that you get with that multi-transaction offer type. We looked at the same for new buyers. So if you were a non-buyer of this product, what did you spend? So the new buyers spent $30. So imagine taking a never buy over 144, or I should say 440-day period, and getting them to spend $30 of your product. That's a powerful change, and you can report on that. And then there are, this is a very interesting subset of the people who activate an offer. There's a group of people that we call sub-redeemers. These are people who activate an offer, don't quite get to that $20 or $30 dollar threshold. They buy, in this case, 50+% more, but there is no redemption paid out against these consumers. So this would be the equivalent of slippage in a rebate, what you would look like. So they engage with the promotion, they bought product, they bought significantly more product, but there was no redemption liability, and they create a very, very efficient economics for this particular type of promotion. The other one, so we talked about that offer type being for kind of scale events. One of the things that brands want to see is cross-purchase. Are people buying products across a portfolio of products? And when you put out a buy $30 across a portfolio of products in multiple categories for a company, what you're seeing is people extending their involvement with a portfolio of products into categories that they buy. They just didn't happen to buy with this company. In this case, people who bought 2 or more brands out of the portfolio increased by 60+%, and people who bought 3 or more brands out of the portfolio increased by 174%. And again, the underpinning of all of this is just essentially taking advantage of the data and reporting that back and telling brands what's happening. And I guess I generally feel this is the type of reporting, analytics, whether it's pre-post, whether it's new users. We do some great work with brands when they give us category UPCs. We can report on share of requirements. So there's a lot of sophisticated analytics that can be done. The last area that I'll talk about is the area of CRM and loyalty. And what is interesting here is probably everybody on this call is connected to one or more of these programs, whether it's retail programs like Stop and Shop and CVS, or travel with airlines and hotel, obviously Starbucks, and even globally with Plenty and Paybacks in Germany, which are American Express properties. American consumers love to be part of loyalty programs for companies that they have great relationships and brands that they love. The average U.S. consumer today is involved and connected to and registered in 13+ loyalty programs, but they are active and participate on an ongoing basis in only about 6 of them. And I would tell you the difference between the 13 programs that we're involved in and the 6 that we're active in is due to how much that company and brand shows me that they understand who I am and that they treat me special. And it is the data behind those programs that allow them to do that. So packaged goods companies, as we mentioned before, have and for years been building databases largely populated with demographic data, engagement history, how many times did I come back to a website or open an email, stated preferences about brands and products that they like. And now some of the programs are even getting purchase data. They're getting it through a couple of ways that we'll show you in a second. The most obvious ones that we know are companies and brands like Pampers and General Mills box tops. I think Campbell's is actually kind of winding down their labels for education programs. But they've really, in order to bridge that gap in visibility to one-to-one consumer purchase data, they've done anything from send in the box top, send in the label, and we'll credit you with points, to the Pampers execution and some others where there's been a unique code printed on a pack, and consumers would take that code out, go to a website, type in the code number, and get credit that way. Kind of the newest version of that going forward, I would tell you, is some of the great work that Kellogg's is doing, where they actually had a code on pack solution. It was open up the box of Kellogg's, go in and see the unique code, go to the Kellogg's website, enter the code, and you would get credited for those purchases. They have migrated to that hybrid of loyalty card connectivity where the retailers are involved, and then the receipt scanning for retailers that don't have a card or haven't made that data available. And what they have seen is, one, it is a far better consumer experience. The number one request they want is more retailers to participate with their loyalty cards, so it can be even easier for them to save. And when you take out all the cost of printing all those, you can imagine a major packaged goods company printing a unique code on every one of their different package configurations. Aside from being a very difficult task to undertake, it is enormously expensive. So that whole cost line item goes away, and this approach, the combination of loyalty card and receipt scanning, is what is going to make CRM and loyalty for Seek more accessible to more CPG brands and companies going forward. And really what you see is, through this partnership between brands and retailers, is it always has to benefit the retailer in the sense that it always drives usage of the retailer's card and loyalty to those participating retailers. On the CPG side of things, it reconnects them with consumers so they have a better understanding of their consumers. They can market to them better, have a better relationship, and, of course, get the measurement that we talked about on the back end. And then, obviously, the consumer benefits because it is a most seamless experience for the consumer. They'll be more engaged in programs, so when the marketer goes and spends the money to acquire a member to participate in the program, it's easier for that consumer to remain engaged, I should say, and they will more likely to stay active in the program for a longer period of time. And lastly, I guess what I would say is this is everything that you saw here is happening now. This is not things that are going to happen 5 years from now. Packaged goods companies are moving aggressively in this direction, kind of as we speak. Retail scale and the combination of the retailer's participation and receipt scanning makes this possible to happen on a national basis now. I think it's pretty clear that kind of newspaper and printable coupons it's just out of step with where consumers are today. And I think that the newest trend that we are seeing is that the CPG, the brands, the CPG companies themselves are going to build audiences to extend retailer audiences, to extend third-party audiences, and it's really the combination of those three that will make digital a kind of national solution that can replace kind of the historical paper-based deliverables that are out there. So we're really excited to be a part of the ecosystem working on these solutions with brands. And as I said, I don't think that I have ever seen more companies more actively engaged today in a path with a date that we will be mostly paperless by this point in the future going forward, and putting real resources and thinking, and as I said, RFPs that are in market kind of as we speak, moving in this direction. And I guess, for the brands and the companies that are on the phone now, you should be thinking about where your direction is in this ecosystem, because if your company is not on a direct path and a committed path and a disciplined path in this direction, I can assure you that one of your competitors is. And it's exciting to be part of it at this point in time. So So we're happy and thrilled to be part of that ecosystem. So actually, I'm seeing a couple of questions here in the box. I could kind of take a shot.
We just have time for one more, Tom, real quick. Any legal concerns with submitting a picture of a receipt?
You know, I'm not aware of it. There have been millions upon millions of receipts submitted across, you know, half a dozen companies that handle them. Obviously, Walmart's Saving Catcher program accepts them, so we've handled millions of receipts. I know our, you know, all the companies in that space handling them, so I'm not aware of any legal issues associated with them at all. Nothing's come up that I'm aware of.
Okay, Tom, thank you very much. You got a flurry of questions from our attendees, so you should feel very happy about that.